Welcome back, you whiskey-loving legends, to another episode of Was It Worth a Whiskey? And today we have the Macallan's 12-year-old Triple Cask. It's a 40 ABV, as is all Macallan's, has no added colouring, but it is chilled filtered. Speaking of Macallan's, it does remind me of a little joke. This bloke, he walks into a bar. He sits down at the bar, wants a whiskey, and he's looking at the whiskies up there at the bar, and he sees the Macallan's 12-year-old. He says, hey mate, get me a dram of that Macallan's 12-year-old. He said, actually make it a double. Bartender said, no problem. So he poured him a double, or more like a triple in fact, put it down in front of him. He said, that'll be $2, thanks mate. He said, $2? That's bloody unreal. Where's your manager? I want to say thanks. He said, well, the manager's in a hotel room with my wife. He said, what the fuck is the manager doing in a hotel room with your wife? He said, probably the same thing I'm doing to his business. Anyway, moving along. Now, the Macallan Triple Cask, it used to be part of the Fine Oak series, but it was renamed about maybe 2018 or 3 years ago or something. And what the Triple Cask consists of is it consists of European sherried oak, American sherry seasoned oak, and bourbon barrels. So, on the nose, you do get that big hit of bourbon straight away. You know it's got bourbon in it. You get that vanilla-y, light orange, bit of citrus. But you also get some of those defined sherry notes, obviously, too. And you can also smell a bit of that oaky spiciness. So it's kind of no surprise what the nose is that old. On the palate, once again, no real surprise. We get a caramel, oak, bit of that American oak spice, that definite Macallan flavour, I'm going to call it a bit. Lemon, a bit of light honey. Now, when I'm talking about that American oak spice, one of the interesting things, and what Macallan does really well, like a lot of the successful distilleries, is consistency. Now, a lot of distilleries struggle with consistency due to the barrels, the barrel selection, because they might get a barrel, but they don't have the full ability to ensure that barrel's the same. Whereas Macallan's, one of the things they do, for example, with the American oak they use here, they actually physically themselves have the trees cut and milled, and then the wood dried out in Kentucky, the American oak. Once it's dried out, they then ship it to cooperage, which they turn it into the barrels, and then in Spain, that is, and then they fill it with Spanish sherry and season it, and then they fill it with, obviously, with new make. So they control, once again, they're controlling the whole process, from the selection of the trees to the drying to the aging to the seasoning of the barrels. And this is why, one of the reasons I think they're so successful, because they get a very consistent product. Anyway, moving along. I mean, the palate is very nice. If you've been into whiskey a long time, you might consider it a bit boring. But it's certainly easy, nice drinking whiskey. I get a bit of chocolate notes in it as well. On the finish, I get a light peppery spice with light, beautiful oak tannins. Get a little bit of black tea flavour coming through, and a delicate sweetness. And I'm going to say it's a medium to short finish. Overall, it's like, I don't know, it's like McDonald's. You always know what you're going to get. It's very palatable, but like I said, maybe for those real whiskey lovers out there, or advanced whiskey lovers, probably slightly boring. Now, on a price point, it's not a cheap one neither. Well, it's not expensive, but it's not cheap. So we're looking at £55 or 75 US or 110 AUD. So it's by no means expensive whiskey, but for a 12-year and what you get, it's probably not a cheap one. But I'll start off with giving a standard score first. So for the nose, I'm going to give it a 86 points. For the palate, I'm going to give it 86 points. And for the finish, I'm going to give it 85 points. We're roughly giving it 86 points for a total score. But as we all know, the most important score is, was it worth it score, based on the price. Like I said, for £55, 75 USD or 110 AUD, I'm going to give it a 5.1. I'm giving it a 0.1 just so I can give it a thumbs up, because it's a nice whiskey, and I think if you're starting out in the realm of whiskey, it's a great place to start to build your basis from. But if you've been into whiskey for a while, I don't think it's your bread and butter. Let me know if you're wrong. Let me know in the comments if you disagree. Nice whiskey, bit boring for me. But still, I'm going to give it the thumbs up. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, remember to hit the like and subscribe button. And if you've got any dodgy jokes, whiskey-related jokes, send me a dingle, because I'm running out of material, and to be honest, the material I have is pretty crappy. Anyway, till next time, cheers.